to the Paint, Rest, Repeat podcast with Roz Gervais and
Laura Day, where we chat about our creative lives as artists while keeping it real and a little bit messy.
we're here to inspire creatives just like you to push past those boundaries and make art that you love. Let's dive in. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Paint, Rest, Repeat. Today, we are chatting about the very first step in the 3 essential steps to grow your creative art business. Creative business. Laura, help.
All creatives are welcome.
I like it. So Laura and I were just needing a little pep up, like energy pep up. And so we've just done 10 star jumps and we're puffed. So excuse us.
I was saying I might be too puffed to talk now, but we needed to get the energy happening, didn't we?
Yeah. And then I just sort of clicked record. You like it? You like it? Let's just roll with it. All right. So I'm really excited about this one though, because we're all about helping lovely artists and creative souls to build their businesses, and not just any old business, but a business that feels really beautiful and aligned and fulfilling as well for our beautiful clients.
Yep, amazing. Totally on board with all of that. And this is the first follow-up episode that we're doing from the intro. And so I thought I'd just do a little bit of an overview. If you haven't listened to episode 72, just head on back because that's where we're the starting point. So what we're doing in these episodes is breaking down the 3 essential steps to grow your business. And it's from Roz and my perspective of being in business, and they're the things that we think that will benefit you most if you focus on them to expand your business. So today we're going to be talking about number 1, which is getting clear on your vision. And then the following episodes will be building your confidence in marketing yourself. And number 3 is collaborating and networking. So shall we dive into getting clear on your art business vision, Roz?
Let's do it. And we do have lots of practical action steps as well in this one, including some prompts for thinking, for journaling, for reflecting, and all of that jazz. So if this might be a good episode for you to listen to a few times over, or grab a notepad and take some notes as you're listening. So either way, before we dive in though, Laura, I just wanted to mention or open the opportunity for you to mention your masterclass, because it's perfectly aligned with what we're chatting about today. So you've got a masterclass coming up actually really soon. I think it's next week.
Yeah. So if you're listening to this at the release date, I'm doing a 3-day masterclass on the 18th, 19th, and 20th of September. It's called Kickstart Your Creative Business. So it's very similar to what we're talking to today, but what I'll do is I'll talk about it further at the end of this episode.
Okay, and it's live on Zoom, so anyone can join, no matter their location. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, amazing. So let's dive on in. So with this particular topic we're talking about today, we are sort of assuming that our beautiful listeners today have their art sorted. So they have a sense of the style that they're creating their work in. They have enough work to sell and to offer people. They have a portfolio of work, as I was just mentioning, and they've sort of started maybe in the earlier stages, but they started their art business. They might have what do you think? A website, have an idea of pricing, that side of things?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it's not discounting other people that are in that earlier stage. They might just have an Instagram and they've just started sharing their work.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like this episode will still be valuable for you, but we are sort of talking about that lens of people that are looking for those next steps to grow. They're wanting to expand. They're wanting to, generate income from what they're creating, and really just step into that creative business model. And they're sort of just looking for ideas and resources on how to do it. And so, getting clear on your vision is a really important step in this process.
Yeah, and actually a good one to come back to occasionally anyway. I was just thinking as you were chatting, because we should always be reviewing. Are we moving forward with a business that is feeling good for us?
Yeah, I love that you said that, Roz, because I think sometimes you can get in analysis paralysis and like trying to think of like the perfect business model to step into. But I feel like I've just ebbed and flowed and had so many iterations of my creative business. It is really good to go back to it and clarify and realign and think about that big picture.
Yeah, love it, love it, love it. Now, why do you think it's important to have this vision? I mean, I guess we hear a lot of people saying, yes, I want to grow my art business. It's a little bit like, it's great, it's positive, it's a commitment, but I guess it maybe it's a bit vague and perhaps not helpful enough.
Yeah. Yeah, I do. I do think that, like, I think that once you get some clarity around what it looks like and define what you are aiming for, then you can make steps to make it materialize. If you don't have that compass, you don't know the direction, then it's kind of, yeah, a bit unclear and, like you said, vague.
I was just smiling because I wanted to say my favorite word at the moment. It's a bit discombobulating. Oh, it's too good. It's good. Everybody take that on. Discombobulating. A bit confusing, sort of, and it's sort of, I guess it puts you in like this sort of weird sort of space where you don't know where you're headed. The other thing that is helpful, sorry, about having a vision is it helps you to know if you've even achieved anything. Because if you don't know where you're heading, it's almost like having a never-ending to-do list. You never get there because you don't know where you're even going. So it's really, really helpful. So if we've got artists listening who are always beating themselves up about never achieving success, whatever that is to them, this is definitely for you to be listening to. All right, so before we dive into like the practical steps around the vision, Laura and I were chatting before and we decided we wanted to help you a little bit around the why piece and the values side of art business, because we believe that these are the things that will help you to go the distance in your art business and help you to keep showing up. Even in those trickier periods of art business, you know, you might go through a period where your original art sales are down. And so you have to think creatively to get another income stream going, for example. But if you know your why and your values, then you're going to be able to traverse even those trickier periods. So,
Yeah.
Laura, I think we have like we've got what am I trying to say? We've got a short exercise, don't we, that our listeners can journey through?
Yeah. So I think, like you said, traversing those challenging times, like we're not saying that art business is easy breezy and all of that. So having that underlying why and that purpose behind what you're doing is a really important step. And there's a book on that too. Simon Sinek wrote the book on understanding your why, or I think the book is actually called Start With Why. So that might be a really good resource if you're interested. You love books, personal development. That might be an interesting thing to take a look at. But yeah, the why is your foundation, like underneath the vision. And we will get to talking to the vision piece in a moment. But yeah, the why is what gives your business some purpose and meaning. And so yeah, I've sort of got like a little exercise, and like Roz said at the start of the episode, this might be a good episode to get a pen and paper. So for example, I will give you an example of my why. So my why is to inspire and empower others to embrace their creativity and use it as a tool for healing and self-expression.
And I've added to our notes here as well my own why. And this is just mainly to give our beautiful artists like an example of a why for like more of a pure art business, because I also do the coaching and all those sorts of things as well. So for me, for my art why, and this might be a good example for others to take on as well, something like this, is to uplift others through their everyday lives, through vibrant, positive artworks that make people smile. So, you know, if your art is doing more than just giving you something to sell, that's really going to help you, you know, to go the distance. So what is the impact you want to make through your art business or your creative business?
Exactly. So in formulating your why, it is to do your action, so to paint or to create or to teach, and then you add in the result or impact. So yeah, the result of like what you want to do with your creative business and your creative practice.
Yeah.
Yeah, so let's sink in and we can follow this little exercise, sinking into understanding your why and your purpose. So yeah, just sit in a comfortable position and maybe you have a journal and a pen ready. And then just take a few deep breaths to center yourself, close your eyes, and take a moment to let go of any distractions.
Unless you're driving.
Unless you're driving, oh, or you've got the kids in the background or whatever. So we're centering ourselves, we're closing our eyes, we're really coming into ourselves right now. And then just listen to the following prompts and just take some time to write freely and honestly without overanalyzing and overthinking. Just have a free flow of thoughts and start to think about your origin story. So, why did you start your creative business? And what inspired you to pick up the paintbrush, to start making art in the first place? And was there a specific moment in time that sparked that piece of inspiration for you to start your creative business or start creating just in general? And then also start to think about what brings you the most joy in life. What is it about the creative practice that brings you some deep fulfillment? And what creative activities just feel like such a breeze? Like you feel like you're in a state of flow, you lose track of time, it just makes you feel really good. And then also start to think about how you want to make an impact with your art. Do you want to create more joy in people's lives? Do you want to spark inspiration? If you're working with clients and customers, maybe teaching workshops, how do you want your students to feel? How do you want to impact your community through the workshops that you're running? And what is the difference that you hope to make in the world? So we're sort of thinking about that legacy piece and what legacy are you leaving with your creative practice? What are people going to say when you're passed on? And all of that sort of stuff. Like, what impact have you made in people's lives? And it's important to come back to your values as well. So, this is the piece that Roz was talking about in terms of creating a business that is in alignment with you. And you want it to create a business that's in alignment with your values as well as your stage in life as well. So, what are your values and how does that align to your business? And how do your values influence the creative business that you're starting or that you're currently in? And so once we start thinking about all of these things, what dreams and goals come to mind? Like, what are the things? And so this is leading into the visioning piece as well. So with all of those prompts that I've talked about now, that should be able to give you some really good things to think about. And whilst you're writing down and whilst you're journaling, um, maybe just take some time to summarize and encapsulate what you have captured on the piece of paper. And you can highlight or underline things that really resonate quite strongly with you and that get you excited and that spark that joy and fulfillment and the impact that you want to create.
Thanks, Laura. That was
Yeah.
beautiful. This is definitely an episode to like star or save. if you have that functionality, because I can see, that is a very, very helpful exercise to go through multiple times, over time. That's really beautiful. Thank you, Laura.
My pleasure.
I appreciate you. Okay, now, now that we've talked about that bit, we're going to move on to getting clear on your vision. So we've got our head a little bit around the why, a little bit around the value piece as well. And now we're moving into that vision sort of space. So like I was saying before, if we're just thinking we want to grow or start or grow a creative business, it's not clear enough. And so we need to really flesh that out. So we've got 3 steps on this one to share today. And the first step is around journaling around the future you. So where you're going to be in 5 years' time. Now, just a note on this, I'm going to read a few questions, but a note on this is that we need to be thinking really open-minded, be really open-minded about this and be thinking about anything being possible, okay? Because if you limit yourself at this point, that's just going to make Laura and I both cry. So we've got it very open-minded and yeah, you can have anything, absolutely anything you want at this point in time, okay? So here are some questions for you to journal around and reflect on. What will your life look like? So to consider your family, your location, and your career. What is your ideal day? And how does that align with your values, which you would have explored earlier? What are the major artistic projects or pieces that you have completed by that 5-year mark? What kind of impact have you made in your community or your industry? And how has your creative business evolved and expanded in this time? So I don't know, how long would you spend doing this? 15 minutes? You want to get a bit deep with this really, don't you, Laura?
Yeah, I would set aside 10 or 15 minutes just to really dig into all of those prompts that Roz has just listed out there. I mean, you can take it as far as you want, really. Can I put in a note around journaling?
Yeah.
So a few clients of mine actually quite struggle to write things down. So I want to be as inclusive as possible when we're making these suggestions too. So some people find it really helpful to talk things out and soundboard with other people. So I know that I find it quite useful myself too. When I go for a walk with one of my creative business besties, we'll like bounce off each other and we'll just like talk through like what we're visioning, like what we're thinking about doing, what big projects, and obviously like the retreat is like this massive thing that I'm focused on right now. So like talking like all those big picture visions through with someone can be really helpful. So if like physically journaling is a stumbling block for you, you could even get your voice notes out and just audio, like just talk through all of your ideas, and you can use these prompts as ideas. So then you can just have an audio version of what you're wanting to do, or you could send audio clips to someone that you trust and someone that you know that is going to hold space for you and hold that vision and believe in all that possibility for your success. Or you could get a walk in and, get your steps in, do a bit of self-care and look after your health, and then talk it through with someone. That would be really good too.
I really love that. That's great. I'm definitely a talker, so much so that I don't have enough people to listen to me. So I think that idea of, the voice recording is really good. And also a hot idea that I've come across recently through a business coach named Ed Oyama, if you want to look him up, is to actually use ChatGPT. If you have the app for ChatGPT, you can actually talk to it. And you can say, hey, chat, can you please summarize these ideas? Because my head is full and I would like to sort of talk about these sorts of things. You can talk to ChatGPT and it will give you a summary after. You can print it and submit it to your journaling people, being us. Don't you like that? It'll give you like a summary if you want it.
I find it can be a really good brainstorming tool. And
but a listener, Laura, this is my point. Like if you're actually talking to it, it will like it'll give you ideas back, but it can also summarize what you say to it.
Yeah. So then that can clarify like what you're trying to communicate.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, amazing.
Modern tool for people who like to talk and have no one to listen.
No. Well, actually, in part 3 of this series, we're talking about how important networking and community is as well. So yeah, this is all like very holistic, and it's a whole big picture piece for, you know, building and growing your business. So yeah, even if you don't have someone to talk to, I think our suggestion is going to be to find your people and your community. That would be really helpful.
That's the balance. You know, I don't think you realize, you know, if I unleashed on you, Laura, there's a lot of talking I could do. Just saying. All right, step number 2 for today.
Yeah, I know we sort of went on a bit of a segue, but I felt that was really important to share as another solution if it's a bit of a stumbling block, the
creative
writing it down.
Yeah, creative options around the journaling. I love it.
Mm-hmm.
So that was step number 1 today in regards to the vision piece. Number 1 was this journaling exercise. And then number 2 is around identifying your goals. So once you sort of know generally big picture where you're going to be in 5 years' time, or where you want to be in 5 years' time, you understand that lifestyle piece, the creative lifestyle that you want. Now is the time to really sort of get a bit clearer on the art business side or the creative business side, and be thinking about the type of business that you want to have. So we have done previous episodes on this sort of a thing. I actually have a free download on this as well. So if you want to head to my website under the resources tab, you can go and grab a guide there on that. But to think about those typical art business types. So we talk about the fine art model, the retail gallery model, the self-representation option, and also the fusion or the hybrid model. And there's a summary there. Or I don't know, do we have another episode specifically on this? I think we do, Laura.
Yeah, was it in the episode around the starving artist piece?
Oh, yes.
And then we talked about, that vision for the creative business that you're going to create. Yeah, and all the different income streams. All the different ways that you can make money through your creative practice.
Yeah, definitely. That's the one. And then we flesh out those 4 different typical art business models. Yeah. So go and listen to that one. We might work out the episode number by the end of this one.
But we'll also put the link to your guide as well. So Roz has put a lot of time and effort into explaining it much further. But yeah, it is about like just sort of imagining like what sort of art business model that you want to create. And it's not set in stone either. Like I think that it's quite good to keep things like open and fluid and sort of follow those little hints and those maybe like coincidences or opportunities that people present to you. Like once you've understood your why and the purpose behind what you're doing, that will be able to help to align you to when opportunities are presented to you, and you know, you can take some little twists and turns, but it's always good to like come back and just have that vision and sort of knowing where the direction that you're going, and then you'll be able, when opportunities are presented to you, you'll be able to say yes or no depending on the clarity of that vision that you have.
Yeah, definitely. And I can sort of hear some of our listeners, like I'm imagining them saying, but I don't know where I'm headed, or I could go anywhere, or I want to be flexible. And I think, like you're saying, you can be flexible 100%. But if you don't have any sort of clarity around where you're going, it's just going to be a lot harder. Just saying, just putting it out there. So you can look at those typical art business types to take some inspiration and get some clarity around where you're going, but also looking at other art businesses that you admire. It's okay to do that. So, if you're crushing on a certain artist and you think she's doing her sales super well, you look at her business, look at how it's structured, look at what she offers, and then look at a few other artists as well, right? And then just pull the little pieces that you think are interesting and then integrate those into your plan for your own business. Yeah. So looking at real artists with live art businesses is a great way to get ideas and to also understand what you definitely don't want to do sometimes. If there's pieces
Yeah.
of those businesses that you're just like, no way, I'm not going near commissions, for example.
Yeah, or maybe people just like are not really interested in teaching. They'd just rather be like 100% in their practice and sell their art. There's so many different types of different ways that you can take your career, which is exciting and really amazing. But then it's also good to like think about the current season you are in your life, what your family looks like, your energetic capacity, how much time you can commit to investing in this business, your personality, your values, like all of those things. It's a lot around self-knowledge and knowing who you are and what is going to suit your life and your current stage in life as well, in terms of what you say yes to.
Yeah, definitely. So, just a few other things as well that I wanted to drop in that are worth considering when getting clear on your goals and where you're headed. Income streams. And when we say income streams, we're talking about really products and services that you offer through your business. And then sales channels, they are things like online marketplaces like Etsy or Blue Thumb or Art Lovers, for example. So, the avenues, how people can actually buy your work or buy tickets to your workshops or whatever it is. You also need to be thinking about your dream buyer. So don't let that trigger any panic, though. It's just, who do you want to buy your art? Like, who are you making your art for? Because, for example, if you want to have your art sold to high-end collectors, then probably your business model is going to be the fine art model, right? So knowing who you want to serve through your art will help you to know what art business type is best for you. Yeah, anything else you think we need to throw into this section, Laura?
I feel like we did quite a good overview and threw in like quite a lot for people to consider
Mm-hmm.
in this arena. Obviously, like setting goals. We actually did another episode on that previously, so
Yeah,
we're directing people back to our
everywhere.
archives. But yeah, that could be helpful too. Or if you really struggle in that area, obviously, like Roz and I do coaching and we support people one-on-one, and Roz does group capacity as well. So yeah, that's something to explore if this is like quite, if what we're talking about is quite overwhelming and you're like, oh, actually I really need to like get something solid into place, and I need to set some goals because I've in my visioning exercise, I thought of some really exciting things I'd like to achieve, but you need that accountability and support to make that happen.
Yeah, definitely. So you can just reach us through our websites or Instagram. We both hang out on Insta. That's our main socials, isn't it,
Yeah, it
Laura?
is. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, so moving on to the final part today, which is to create a plan. So now you know what you're building, the type of business, the income streams, the sales channels, and all of that jazz in your business. We need to now move into the planning part, which includes things like goal setting. So specifically getting very, very clear on specifically what you're working towards. Marketing piece as well, which we're going to cover in our next episode to dive into the confidence around marketing. We need to think about things like organization, how you're going to stay organized in your art business so you can stay on track with your goals. Accountability, how you're going to actually show up, do the things that you are promising to yourself that you will do. If you need a business plan as well for your art business, and all of that jazz. There's so much stuff to be considered in terms of a plan. But I think for me, Laura, I just think it's that overarching. Where are we heading in terms of our goals? What are the most important action steps that we need to take in order to reach those specific goals? And then how are we going to track those and actually tick those off so we can be moving in the right direction?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think once we have that vision, once we set our goals, then yeah, it's easier to know what we're doing and we're not just sort of blowing with the wind and just, just taking our business like which way, wherever.
Yeah, and almost as I mentioned before, we can also end up with this long to-do list, all this almost busy work that we can be doing in our businesses. But this part, this actual stepping back and thinking of our roadmap or our plan, it forces us to make sure that the things that we are doing, the things we're spending our time on, are the things that are important, and serve the purpose of getting us to shift towards achieving those goals. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, actually, oh, Laura, interrupted you to promote you because I was just going to say, if you're feeling really motivated by this episode, and you're feeling inspired and you're actually listening to this episode in real time, because this comes out on the 11th of September, is that right?
Yes.
Yeah, then Laura's workshop is next week. Do you want to tell everyone a bit more about the workshop, because you alluded to it earlier on in the episode?
I did. I'm putting together a free 3-day masterclass on the 18th, 19th, and 20th of September. It's called Creative Business Kickstart. And yeah, we're doing like what we covered over in this episode slightly, and then some added extras. So we'll be talking about getting clear on your vision, like really nutting into like that why and the underlying driver of your creative vision, your purpose, and what drives you. And we'll be doing like some practical exercises on that. So you will leave with the why statement. And we'll also cover over like a life assessment and your business assessment. So thinking about like how you can design a creative business that is in true alignment with yourself and your family and all of the different moving parts of your life. And we'll be creating a plan moving forward. And then we'll also talk about making space to grow. So like what you can do in the future, like to sustain and grow your creative business.
I love that. It sounds so amazing as, a way to finish off the year. I mean, I know it's in September, but we're getting towards the end of 2024. And I just feel like that's that's a really important activity to be doing, a masterclass like this where you can sort of tune into yourself, the big picture goal, and all of that sort of piece of things. So you can end, I don't know, the year beautifully, feeling good, feeling aligned, feeling clear on what you're working towards, and that art business or creative business is, what you're committed to. I love it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it'll be on my website. You can sign up, and it will be at laurajaneday.com/kickstart. And you can find the link in the show notes of this episode. So wherever you're listening, they'll be in the show notes.
Woot.
Amazing.
Woot, woot. All right. So our beautiful listeners, we wanted to read out a review because sometimes I'm a little bit slow at collating reviews. So we've got a review today to read out. We actually have a bank of 10 of them, I think we need to read out, but we'll do just one today. And also we'll give you an invitation to drop your own review in so we can read it out on our next episode. So this one is by Lisa Slate. She's on Instagram at LisaSlate_art. And she has said, love listening to Roz and Laura talk about their journeys in art and the lovely interviews that they do. Thank you for sharing. Thanks, Lisa, for listening.
Thanks, Lisa. That's so lovely. We love hearing feedback. I think sometimes this podcast can be like a little bit like we're sending it out to the ether and we're not even sure if people are listening. But then we do see the stats and we're like, yeah, people are listening. Yeah. So that's.
We also wanted to say, if you would like to leave a review or a testimonial for us, don't be shy on Spotify. I believe you can leave us a star rating on there, 5 stars for good karma, or you can head over to Apple Podcasts and leave us a written review there. If you leave us a written review and you have an Instagram account for your art, pretty please leave your handle there so that we can give you a shout out and direct people over to your account to give you a bit of a follow. So everyone stay tuned for the next episode, because we will be chatting about step number 2 in these key steps to build your creative business. And we'll be chatting specifically around the confidence piece with marketing, because we know can feel a bit hard, can feel a bit orkies,
Yeah.
But if Laura and I can do it, you can do it too. We'll be sharing a couple of hacks that will help you on your journey.
Thanks for listening, guys.
Bye.